Hey beauties, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a quick impromptu video. I'm actually out of town in DC for a work meeting, and I thought I'd show you guys what was in my makeup bag. Mainly because I have nothing else to do, and honestly, the light that's coming through this hotel room, superb, spectacular. So I thought it would be a good chance for me to take advantage of some good lighting and just show you guys what I'm working with. Okay, so first and foremost, my makeup bag is actually from Aldi's. I find some of the most random but honestly great finds at Aldi's. But this is a makeup bag style that I've seen in quite a few places. Basically, what happens is the bag kind of opens up into a flat layout. I know BK Beauty has one of these. You can find this on Amazon. So it's not a special bag by any means, but I just happened to find mine at Aldi's. It was $10. So a really, really good price overall. So I decided to grab it there. Anyways, let's dive into the products in my makeup bag. So first things first, when it comes to traveling with makeup, especially if I'm going for work, I tend to stick to only the bare basics because I'm not doing a ton, especially when it comes to eyeshadow. Like, it's typically one and done kind of look, so I try to keep it as simple as possible. Sometimes I won't even wear makeup when I'm traveling for work, but I always like to have the option with me. Okay, so let's start foundation. So I have my Lancome Tante Doll foundation. You guys know I have oily leaning skin, and because of that, mattifying foundations are really, really important for me. Typically when I'm traveling for work, my work days tend to be longer, so I'm looking at 10-12 hour days because it's usually getting up early for whatever it is, usually some kind of dinner with colleagues or friends at night. So I'm typically out for a very, very long time, so I need something that's long wearing, and because I have oily skin, I need it to be mattifying. And quite frankly, I have not found a better mattifying foundation than the Lancome Tante Doll. The only other option I would say is probably the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm foundation, but that one is a little bit more full coverage, a little bit thicker. I find this one to be a little bit more on the medium to light coverage, and you can really share it out so it doesn't feel very, very heavy on the face, especially since I'm wearing it for quite a long period of time. And I'm just grabbing and going, so there's no kind of order to this. Next, I have the Milk, is this the mattifying primer? Yes, this is the Pore Eclipse mattifying primer. Again, I have oily skin, so I'm looking for products that are going to be long wearing, that I'm going to be able to use for a pretty long time. So this is one of my go-to mattifying primers as of late. Another Milk product, this is the Hydro Grip eyeshadow base. So I'm typically doing one and done eyeshadows. Normally I do tend to use concealer as a primer, but I find that when I travel, I just want something light on the eyes. So this, because this has a really tacky base to it, I like using this to just set the lids and then throw like one shade on it. Like today, for example, I'm doing kind of like a one and done. This is actually the Patrick Tar. Do I have it? But it's one of the Patrick Tar duos. It's the, what's the name? She's in Parties. That might not be the name of it, but it's one of the Patrick Tar duos. I used the Hydro Grip primer on my lids and I just tapped one shade over it, and then I went in with my bronzer as sort of the blurring, buffing out the edges piece to it. So this is a really good primer, not just for the one and done shades, but especially if you have a more PC eyeshadow or one that has a lot of fallout. This is really good at helping the shadow stick to the lids and reducing fallout. Another product, and this one is almost empty, so I'm thinking about either replacing this one, or I've heard that is it the Milani? The Milani spray is similar to this. Anyways, this is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. This is my go-to setting spray. When it comes to long wearing mattifying setting sprays, this is it. This has been a holy grail for me for a very, very long time. I've used up 3 or 4 of these, and I typically will always purchase a travel size or have a travel size on me because this is the only setting spray that I travel with. Outside of actually the black, not the black, but the complimentary setting spray to this Milk product is one that I also travel with, but I digress. I like this one the most when it comes to travel. This is getting a little bit pricey though, so I'm gonna see if the Milani one works as well, but I think this will still always be an option for me. But yeah, the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray, if you have oily skin, if you need your makeup to last, y'all, this is a good one. Okay, for concealer, I actually packed 2 this time. Typically, I'm only packing 1. I don't know why I packed 2. I think it's because both of them were on the desk at the same time. So I have here the Pat McGrath M21 concealer. I usually use M21 or M23. The M21 is a lot brighter. So if I want something that's a little bit more stark, I can go with this one. I also do have a little bit of hyperpigmentation from some acne scarring, so it's kind of good for concealing that because of how dark those are. And this is I would say it's a pretty thick but high quality concealer. Pat McGrath is one of my favorite concealers, but my go-to absolute favorite concealer, which can actually be used as a foundation if you want something that's a little bit lightweight and just like want to use concealer as foundation, is this Tom Ford Tracer Soft Matte Concealer. Y'all, this thing is so darn good. This is my second tube in this. It's almost done already. Like, you don't get a ton of product at all, but whew, so good, so good. The issue with this is, one, you don't get a ton of product. You only get, I believe, 0.3 ounces. Is it ounces? 0.3 of whatever the measurement is, which is not a lot, and this retails for $60. I do recommend that if you have a cosmetics company store near you and you are able to check it out to see if it's sold there, that you do that. I was able to pick up 2 of these on clearance at my CCO. I might actually go back and see if they have more of them on clearance, because this is probably my favorite concealer as of right now. I've realized that lately I've been getting some creasing when it comes to concealer, even with the Pat McGrath one, which I really, really love, but this one has never given me any creasing or any issues, so I might try to pick up more of this if I can get it on clearance at my CCO. Brow pencil. So right now I'm using the Urban Decay Brow Beta pencil. This is honestly just because I'm trying to work through all the brow pencils in my collection. I don't like it. I find it to be a little bit hard. It's not as waxy and it doesn't come off as smooth on brows. Personally, I'm a Brow Benefit is it Brow Wiz? I think it's Brow Wiz. But the Benefit pencil, which you guys all probably know and love, that is my go-to pencil. If not that, then I'll go to the ABH brow pencil. But honestly, I think I found my pencil. I don't need to try anything else, which is why I'm trying to use up the ones that I have so I can just continue buying the one that I know and I love. Simple as that. So this is the shade Dark, and it's simply because I'm just trying to use this up. I don't think it's particularly good. Just saying. Okay, then I have the Hourglass Snake palette. I like traveling with one of the Hourglass palettes. It doesn't matter anyone. Quite frankly, I can reach into my drawers and pick out any single Hourglass palette and it would work fine. And I like traveling with these because of the versatility of these palettes. First and foremost, you get, depending on your complexion, a bronzer, a finishing powder, a highlighter, and a blush. So you get a lot of products in here, which means that you don't need to pack some of these extra products as singles. And I say depending on your complexion because if you are darker like I am, your bronzer might not come from this palette. You might end up with a setting powder and a finishing powder, but that's fine, you know, at least for me. So for instance, the bronzer in here I can use as a bronzer, barely. And then the finishing powder is kind of like more like a highlighting kind of powder for me. And you have like pretty similar peachy, corally shades here as blushes, but I love the Hourglass powder formula. Like honestly, it is one of my absolute faves. And their ambient, not ambient, but the strobe lighting powder, which is their highlighters, amazing. It is kind of blinding. And the other thing in terms of versatility of this palette is that not only are you getting those different products, so you know the blush, the bronzer, the finishing powder, etc., but I have used these as eyeshadow in the past. So if you really, really wanted to, you could skip eyeshadow and just use this as eyeshadow. So I will typically grab one of these palettes. Again, it doesn't matter which one, because when it comes to these palettes, the shades of the blushes are typically some kind of coral or peachy or pink shade. So for me, it doesn't matter that much, and because of how sort of light the Hourglass powder formula is, it's really just giving like a nice flush, nothing overly colored, which I appreciate because, again, if it's a work trip, I want something a little bit more subtle, not over the top, not extra. Now, I did pack a second highlighting palette because, like I said, the Hourglass strobe lighting powders are very, very blinding. They're pretty bright. And I find that the Dior Backstage highlighters tend to give a little bit more of a subtle glow. So because I don't typically want a blinding highlight when I'm traveling for work, I like traveling with this palette specifically because the highlighter here is very, very subtle, very beautiful, one of my absolute faves. Another Hourglass palette, you guys will see, like, you know, there are certain products that I probably don't show a lot on my channel, but the things that are my holy grails, that are my day-to-days, that are my ride or dies that I travel with, might surprise you. So I actually have the Hourglass Ambient palette. Is this called? I don't know what it's called, but oh, the Lighting Palette Volume 3. Now, y'all remember years and years ago when they had these palettes, the darkest one was a joke, if we're being honest. So they added this third one. So this is the deepest version of this palette. Now, can they go deeper? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because quite frankly, this bronzes me, but not much deeper, in my humble opinion. Just saying, you know? Although I have seen people darker than me use this, I still think that there's a long ways to go in terms of the depth of their ambient lighting palettes. But for me, love this baby. So in this palette, you get a highlighter, a finishing powder, and a bronzer. Now, I typically will mix the bronzer and the finishing powder together to get my bronzer, because even though this is the darkest palette, it doesn't really work for me perfectly. So here's the paradox of this, okay? So the highlighter is too dark for my complexion. I cannot use the highlighter on my complexion. It's way too dark. And then the bronzer and the finishing powder, I find that they're kind of close in terms of, you know, the bronzer is just red, the finishing powder is a little bit more neutral. So I like mixing it to get my perfect bronzer. So what I have been using this palette for is mixing these two, the bronzer and finishing powder, for my bronzer, and using the highlight as an eyeshadow. And then I will go in with the bronzer as my crease sort of buffing out shade. It's actually what I'm wearing in the crease now to blend out this eyeshadow. So I have been using this a lot as sort of like eyeshadow and a face product. And that's, again, going back to sort of the versatility of the Hourglass palettes. I love having them do double function, and I appreciate that they can do that. So that has been a palette that has been in my travel bag. And not even just travel bag. I've been using it for the last like 2 months consistently every day. Okay, another product that I have with me is the Rem Beauty Jupiter Moon Satin Matte Blush. Now, this is just a sort of neutral blush that you could actually kind of use as a bronzer as well. It's pretty neutral, pretty nude. It doesn't really add a ton. And again, I'm looking for something a little bit more subtle, not doing the most while I'm on a work trip. I packed mascara. It's just basic mascara. This was PR from Honest Beauty a couple of weeks ago. I actually really like this mascara. And I'm saying it's just mascara because for me, honestly, mascara is mascara is mascara. Like, unless it's a super duper flaky mascara, I don't really care to rate or rank mascaras because they all kind of do the same thing for me. I don't know. I've never found a mascara that I thought was like unbelievably spectacular. Are they good? Yes. And some of them are just stupid expensive for no reason. Anyways, let's not go down the road of like mascara and mascara pricing. So this actually is a mascara and a primer in one. So on the orange side, you have the primer, which is those sort of like white fuzzies, and that helps kind of like lengthen the lashes. And then on this side, you have the mascara. So you actually get a little bit less. This is all the mascara that you really get, and that's because it's that sort of mascara primer combo. But I will say I have been liking this mascara. It's been really nice, really black, really lengthening, not clumpy, no issues with it whatsoever. Would I repurchase? Sure. Depending on what the price is. Again, I got it in PR, so I don't know what the price is. So if it's like over $13, probably not. I don't think I should pay more than $5 for mascara or pencil. Just saying. Just saying. Anyways. Speaking of pencils, I have 2 pencils here. So I have the Sephora brush tip liquid liner. This is in the shade brown. I like wearing brown mascara as of late. Not mascara, eyeliner as of late. Because it's a little bit less harsh than black mascara. And if I'm going for a more subtle look, or if I'm doing just simply one shadow in the eyes, I feel like black mascara can be a little bit much. So the brown mascara, I think, gives it a little bit more of a softer look. And this is from the Sephora collection brand. I really love their pencils, y'all. So this was made in Japan, but I tend to stock up on these during the Sephora VIB sale. I'll typically buy like 2 or 3, and they last 2, maybe 3 months, depending on how often I use them. So yeah, I like to stock up on these. Definitely recommend you guys check out the Sephora collection because they have quality products, y'all, and their liners are really good. Outside from this liquid liner, I have a pencil liner. This is from Esom Cosmetics. This is a dual liner, so you get a brown side, and as you can see, I've used quite a bit of this. And then there's like gold on this side. This was gifted to me in PR. You guys know I love, love, love Esom Cosmetics. I think I actually purchased some of these on my own. These are really good pencil liners. They don't have any toughness to them, so they don't tug on the waterline, because this is what I use it for. I have stopped really putting eyeshadow on my waterline and have been really going into pencils to line my waterline. So those are the 2 pencils that I packed. I packed a brow gel. This is the Gimme Brow from Benefit. And, oh wait, I also packed black liner. So this is the black version to the Sephora collection brown version. I don't know why I packed both of them. I think I just threw them both in there. So let's actually talk, well, before we get into eyeshadow, I do have a little, not travel, this is almost like a sample size of setting powder. This is the Hourglass setting powder. Honestly, there's nothing special about this. I only packed this because of the size of it. Because when it comes to like loose setting powders, oh my gosh, I don't think I packed my face setting powder. Now that where did I put it? I'm just realizing I forgot the powder to set my full face. So I will probably end up using all of this to set my face, and then some of the Hourglass powders to set the rest, because clearly I forgot that. Anyways, so yes, these Hourglass loose setting powder. And lastly, eyeshadow. I try to stick to 2 eyeshadow palettes when I travel. Usually it's my Chanel quad, the Mediterranean one. If you know me, you know I love that Mediterranean quad. It's amazeballs. But I decided to switch it up a little bit and pack my new YSL mini clutch. This is in the shade, what is the shade? 710. I don't know what that means. I think this is Over Brune. So it is like a true neutral quad. I love this. I've been wearing this pretty recently. Well, I picked it up during the Sephora VIB sale, and I've worn it maybe 3 times so far. It's a really good work palette. Like, quick and easy, quick and dirty. The mattes in this are, oh, chef's kiss. Just soft and like luscious and luxurious. I actually think I like this formula more than the Tom Ford quad formula. Don't ask. It just is what it is. And then I did pack one of the Patrick Ta duos. This is the Do You Know Who I Am? It's the gold one. I really like this one. This is definitely more Vava Voom, but it is a kind of one and done shadow. So this is one that I would also just sort of pick one out of the 2 shades, pop it on the lid, and then go in with the Hourglass bronzer palette to just kind of buff everything out around the edges. And that's it, y'all. So it seems like a ton of products, but honestly, it is like the bare basics. It's exactly what I need. A lot of these do dual function. And this is typically my work travel bag. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what I keep in my work travel bag. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe on your way out if you haven't already done so. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye!